Speaker.
The Honourable to your Urara level.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Kia ora tātou e te whare. Ia tātou e wānanga nei tēnei take nui whakaharahara. I au e kōrero ana mo te āhuatango tēnei mea o te pakanga, me kōrero ai mo te hunga mate. I te mea, ko mate ka whai mai i te pakanga. Pakanga ki te pū, koina te mutanga mai. Ko mate, pai mai, kino mai. Noira, koutou i te pō e moi, tātou e noho nei te whare pāre mate i tēnei rā. Tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Māori Party, I think it's fair to say that few would disagree with the opening statements today by the Prime Minister. Indeed, some of the statements made by Mr. Little with respect to the discuss that pretty much every New Zealander would feel collectively around the activities of ISIS. And we understand the desire to do something to assist. The question is, what? So in my discussions with my people and the constituents I represent, I have to say that most have real concerns about our soldiers going off to war. Having said that, they are hugely proud of the efforts of all of those people who put their lives at risk. So as I consider the decision to deploy New Zealand Armed Forces to Iraq, I need to put it in a context. As we approach the centenary of Anzac Day, we once again reflect on New Zealand's involvement in overseas conflicts. Since our involvement with the Allied forces at the ill-fated campaign at Gallipoli, generations of men and women have served our country in combat and non-combat roles. Mr. Speaker, our tūpuna were inspired to volunteer for the First World War effort by Māori politicians such as Sir Apirana Ngata and Te Rangi Hiroa, who argued that Māori involvement in the armed forces was, quote, the price of citizenship. Since the First World War and the formation of Te Ope Tuatahi, the Māori Battalion, Māori have been prominent in the armed forces and never shied away from the active service overseas. So the legacy left to us by Māori involvement in conflict and peacekeeping missions is absolutely etched in our whānau, hapu and iwi histories. In fact, sir, in most meeting houses throughout the country, pictures hang on the walls of those who have passed on and paid that ultimate price. There are stories of immense pride and valour, such as the deeds of the Māori Battalion and indeed our contribution to peacekeeping in East Timor. There are stories of immense loss and suffering from the death of so many young men killed in their prime, indeed women, killed in their prime from active combat and suffering from campaigns like Vietnam, which scarred whānau for generations. And last year, sir, I was present at Rotorua Airport as one of our young men was brought home from overseas, returning back to his whānau who lived in a little town called Kawerau. They felt that pain on that day, as did I. So as we reflect upon almost 100 years of involvement in international conflict, we need to ask ourselves, what is the best contribution Aotearoa can make? Mr. Speaker, the Māori Party believes that sending New Zealand soldiers to train troops in Iraq for combat is effectively the same as sending New Zealand soldiers to war. The normal conventions of war, as already been stated, are not observed by ISIS, and any military involvement by New Zealand will be regarded as an act of aggression. The Māori Party believes sending intelligence personnel into the region places them at grave risk. Undoubtedly, they will be placed in the line of fire. So let us be under no illusion, Mr. Speaker, that by sending training troops and other personnel to the region, we are raising our heads effectively above the parapet. This decision increases the chances of Aotearoa being a target for rogue ISIS attacks. Mr. Speaker, in 2007, New Zealand was regarded as the second most peaceful nation in the world, behind Norway and just ahead of Denmark. At the time, Iraq was regarded as the most dangerous country in the world. Our consistent message since entering Parliament 9 years ago is that manaakitanga and rangatiratanga dictates that it is not our place to be intervening in the decisions of other nation states, but we could play a constructive role in peacekeeping and providing humanitarian aid. So, despite the best intentions of the West, by sending in the planes, sending in the tanks, sending in the soldiers, all that inevitably happens is everyone packs up and walks away. For what real gain? Not a lot. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand has earned the respect of the international community for its peacekeeping and humanitarian support. We have shown our mettle in hotspots like Afghanistan and East Timor. We fully acknowledge the courage and intelligence demonstrated so ably by the Provincial Reconstruction Team and other groups working throughout Afghanistan. There is a large-scale humanitarian crisis in the Middle East, including thousands of whānau surviving and dying in refugee camps, fleeing the terror of ISIS. Sir, Aotearoa has much to contribute to eliminating the threat of ISIS, but it is not by sending our military personnel into Te Mura o Te Ahi. Our own people are also asking us why the New Zealand government remains silent on humanitarian crises such as that happening in West Papua New Guinea, where thousands of innocent Melanesian people, Papuas, have been slaughtered by the Indonesian government. This is a conflict filled with similar atrocities of kidnapping, of rape, of murder, to the atrocities inflicted by ISIS, and yet it is far closer to home. And yet, as Mr. Peters alluded to, we don't say too much and we haven't done too much about it. Having said all that, Mr. Speaker, now that the decision has been made, and despite our views, from the Māori Party's perspective, I'm sure from the House, we do wish our forces well, those who are deployed overseas. They will make us proud. We pray that they will be looked after and returned home safely to their friends, to their partners and to their tamariki. Tū matauenga. Kia kaha.
Mr. Speaker.